Hello, people of the interwebs. It's me again. I'm with Jerry. Hi, Jerry.
Hello.
Oh, I need to make you a bit prettier. So now no icons hide your face. I've got myself something to drink.
Oh, you've got Kilkenny. Today I currently have Heaney's.
Never had that.
It's a red ale. There's quite a lot of microbreweries that popped up recently.
This one is a red ale too. At least it says on the tin, or rather on the bottle.
I've also got a McCracken's red to try, and then depending on how far we get, a chocolate and vanilla Irish stout.
I see this will be a fun episode because you can't stand on one leg, as we say. So I've got two of these.
It's the way to do it. I hope everybody at home is drinking. There's Hazy Boy. Hola.
Yes, hello Hazy Boy. Hello Manda.
Demon and shit. Armagh beers indeed.
Yes, beers, swearing, and a lot of political incorrect statements.
It's nothing politically incorrect about me. Hang on.
And nobody can stop me.
No.
So,
first beer's gone. Sorry. It's probably a good sign when it's gone just as we're starting.
Well, it's a preparation to endure anything that comes.
Thirsty work talking.
So, we are having Over the Top again.
We are having Over the Top, yeah.
Denzian. I always want to say Denizen. Whatever for reason.
I always want to say denizen, as in, you know, the subterranean terrible dwellers.
But it's Denzian.
Denzian. And he was just starting the Germans the last time we seen him.
Yeah, he had just picked them up, and now they look ready.
They do. I think they are. I haven't bothered reversing this one because that way, no scrolling. Whenever we start to see colour, we can stop. That's just how it goes.
Yeah, but these look very nice, coherent. Just like you imagine from all the black and white videos.
Have you seen, who was it? It was Toros. Somebody told Toros about a colorizing app for a phone that changes old sepia and black and white photos into color. You just take a picture and it works out based on the grayscale what color things should be.
That's a nice technique. Beats using a paintbrush.
It really does. I've some old black and white photos. I'm going to run it through to see how they work, because I know there are issues with that. But anyway, I digress. Once again, he's given us a whole gallery full of lovely completed Germans on a table.
And he does lovely sceneries. The terrain matches very fine with the greys and greens.
That's a clever bug, isn't it?
As if you had purposely built them that way. A lone sniper.
I can't remember. I have a sneak suspicion he was doing this for Blood and Valor. Just to get use out of them. But regardless of what they're being done for, he's done a terrific job.
Yeah, and again, little colourful flowers on the officer to see who has to be shot first.
Always shoot people first if you can. Never let them get the first dig in. I have little colourful flowers somewhere. Oh, there. Currently doing those for Jerry Can.
DIY flowers or
DIY. So at some point in our future there'll be tiny little pinky purpley flowers popping up. You're not going to be able to see them. Far too small. You can see colour.
I can see them.
That's right.
But my Skype window was a bit bigger.
Don't worry. We'll see them whenever it's done. Fear not.
We have some Ulan cavalry. These we didn't see last time. I think we stopped at the colouring knots.
This is the first of them. But once again, he starts with the reference work. That's the word I was looking for and failing to find before kicking into the rest of the project. I do love how he does them.
The helmets look a bit weird, but on the other hand, the original looks even weirder. Like some sort of graduation ahead.
Yeah, mortarboard. Yeah, I think there were some Polish and possibly French lancers wore hats like that came up and then squared, and I have a sneaking suspicion these were just the descendants of those.
Yeah, and maybe even just some cover like the spiky helmets on the Germans were much more shinier and just got some camouflage tissue covers.
They do just have canvas covers because nobody wants to be shot through their nicely shined up enamel black helmet. No, which isn't good for hiding in.
Yeah, these look nice. Oh, what? Wait! I forgot to hit the buttons.
You forgot to hit buttons. Terrible.
I need to set my mark on this, so I'm not doing them twice.
No, well, that's the way to look at it. Once is enough. Always enough.
I lick it. It's mine. Next up, we have. I have a sneaking suspicion. Some wieners. Oh, and tartan.
Might be one or two, yeah. You'll have to stop me here because I've already clicked all the buttons for him, so I'm not sure where we're at.
I don't know what's more confusing, the very colourful cups he sits these miniatures on to paint them, or this very weird colour scheme on the more or less clear people.
You know, fans of Woad.
Especially the hornblower, who is somehow blue everywhere except that one spot.
Maybe he didn't know what would happen if he wiped it on there. Or maybe he was blue all over and he spent a bit too much time touching himself and has rubbed it all off again. Oh, These are the questions that demand an answer that I'm not going to go looking for.
Yeah, man, Justin won't get near these, I think, especially not with clippers.
No. But these are being done for, I believe, Clash of Spears and not Specure, because Specure is a terrible game.
I couldn't tell. I've never played them. Or it, rather.
Just take a handful of dice and keep rolling it until you get bored, and that is SPQR in a nutshell.
Sounds a bit like Warhammer to me.
Like that, but with less joie de vivre. But he has been working through them fairly steadily. Slow and steady wins the race, he says. Now, you say that, Robert, except I'm being incredibly slow with mine, and I'm not coming close to winning the race. To be fair, I'm not even coming close to getting them off their sprues.
I'm even slower. I haven't painted in weeks. I think I haven't painted since I've started doing the Unofficial Hobby Hangout, which is kind of weird.
It's alright. This counts as your hobby. Nice use of the little big man transfers there on the shields as well. So you can just do a decent paint scheme. You don't need to go massively overboard and kill yourself spending hours and days highlighting every detail. And faces and bases, and then stick a big decal on it and you're flying.
The decals are very much detailed. I think if you wanted to paint these freehand, even though it's not a complicated design, it would take ages to get right.
That is a Warlord one. Is that what you said?
He says. Oh, Robert has kicked the bots again. I don't know it.
What did he say?
Cunt.
Was it cunt?
Again.
I don't think anybody here was particularly surprised.
Not really.
No.
Are these three brothers of sorts? or do they share a paint job?
I think two of them are twins.
Could be.
the one on the left and the one on the right. The one in the middle is just a close family friend, apparently.
It's the naughty uncle.
It's very Celtic.
And a very, very Jerry shot.
Be thankful it wasn't super sharp in focus. Is that the one that you extended his wang?
It looks like it.
There was green stuff work going on to make one of their schlongs bigger. Just going to see how many different ways I can describe his penis.
Is there some sort of penis envy when it comes to Warren's Big Boris?
I've no idea. No idea.
I think you can stop extending when it hits the ground.
It's like a baby's arm holding an apple.
Is that a weapon?
Who misses? But he's been fairly breaking out the plaid and checks and checkers, and
I must say, I really would want to see a complete picture with every painted mini in this attack formation. That should be quite a colorful sight, I'd imagine. And
coming at you like Cleopatra.
I see freehand.
Yeah.
Very nice. And the attack dog. More naked boys.
It's modelling somebody you played rugby with. That's good to know. You have to tie it to his thigh.
The thing is, the one who is meant to be the person he modeled it after, does that now feel uncomfortable? That you took a so detailed look at his lower parts?
Based on a lot of rugby players I know, it was probably front and centre. I've never been shy.
These are getting more and more, and they look gorgeous. Ooh, we have a tattooed guy. I reckon the wearing what strikes me as a bit weird is they run around naked, but they have a sword and a helmet. Doesn't quite fit any logic. But then again,
it's because they're unarmored. Doesn't mean they didn't want to be unarmed.
Well, I see why they're wearing weapons, but a helmet and a shield.
Maybe he needs to protect his dashing good looks. He spent a lot of time. Well, maybe that one didn't get a chance. I know they used to use lime to spike their hair and dye it like peroxide blonde. So maybe the other ones have all got their spiky blonde hair, but the ones with the helmets didn't get a chance to dye their hair before the night of the battle and didn't want to be seeing, so they're just covering it up.
No,
the roots are showing.
Could be. A good explanation as any is. And that's where we left off last time. These are quite some pictures. I would go out on a limb and say, even if you would find a game store that is open, you wouldn't find one that would be willing to put these on display.
Oh no, they'll be fine. Probably stick them in the cabinet up at the others. It's all Warlord stuff. It's fine. It's grand. Have you many more to paint, Robert? Before we vanish from here.
I would say there is at least a pack more.
Just another 70 odd. Oh, fair enough. You probably throttle that back a bit. You don't really need that many. Not for Clash, anyway.
So, next up is orange skin painting some geezer. We had this before.
It had one entry before where he did his idea for skin on the goblin.
Yeah. And then we left off. And here he is.
Then we left off.
I only have seen this before because that one was on my watch list, and I stopped myself again from hitting buttons because that really looks cool.
You're very good that you stopped.
I need every help to remember things I can get, so I take what I can get. And
Mr. Cheeto is fairly fluorescent there.
Yeah, I think that's a bit of a problem with the lighting.
I don't know, he is using Jokero Orange as his base coat. So he probably was just fluorescing that much. That's not a subtle shade.
Well, looks a bit like Cheetos.
Well, he's following the source material perfectly then.
Well, these are really nice. I still wish the little night goblin helper would have gotten a bit more, let's say, facial traits to make him appear what he should be, because if you wouldn't really take these two as a duo for standing alone, I wouldn't call him Boris. I think.
I don't know if he was meant to be Boris or if he was just another goblin Trump, but I imagine it's Trump and Boris because that makes sense to me. But yeah, he has done a terrific job. I imagine these are going to end up in Frostgrave as well. Simon will probably know he's fond of his Frostgrave. Oh, there we go. They'll get shoehorned into Frostgrave or Rangers of Shadow Deep at the nearest opportunity. A nice thing is he does have a YouTube channel.
I saw the video on the very end.
Yeah.
And I skipped over it. I am now making everybody sick by scrolling viciously back and forth.
That's what they're here for. They're here for the slight nausea of motion sickness.
That's a complete tutorial as it looks.
Awesome.
With start building, starting painting.
Oh, there you go. The tutorial's there anyway in picture-y, written form. But if you prefer to watch rather than read,
or maybe just listen in the background.
Yeah. It's worth having a poke around his channel anyway, because he's got some great stuff. Very British Civil War and other bits and pieces lurking in there. He, like myself, he's an eclectic range of games that he plays / dabbles with. So there's a bit of something for everybody in there.
Speaking of videos, I've watched the airbrush video you've linked to me. Have you watched some of that guy's latest videos?
Not recently, no. But that was the one I found a couple of years ago when I was starting to get back in airbrushing.
The latest one, he has made a DIY airbrush from a plastic syringe and use these little garden sprayers where you pump to get pressure on.
Oh, you pump to get... Yeah, I've got one of those in the shed.
As a entry-level basic, if you want to try how airbrushing works, looked very wonky, but it worked for some...
That's amazing. I must have a look at that at some stage.
The fun thing was something along the lines, I was painting apocalypse models, and what better way to paint apocalypse models than with an airbrush that doesn't need electricity?
That is very true. It gives you the full feeling of the apocalypse.
Yeah, makes it quite true. So, next up, there is green ghastly thingies.
Frog monsters.
Would you like to try to pronounce that user's name?
That is Pathetic Berserker.
I won't go near that name. But, that's great.
But yeah, I thought I'd looked at this before with you, but then I was thinking suspicion I'd seen it and he'd only just done the blue on the BPRD counters and then dry brushed them white, which is the where I was entry, and hadn't gone any further. So apparently we hadn't smashed buttons and talked about him.
Haven't we not?
Apparently not. I dimly remember looking at this in the past, but there wasn't much there. And then we went, it'll be interesting to come back here when some stuff has been done, because
that must have been some quite ago. All these greens, I can't remember those.
This is all shiny new. No, it was literally just here's my plan for BPRD, and then I'll be back at some point.
Yeah, so I think the first and the second entry were from April, and maybe I think the one with the major magnets on the lower side, and then we left it.
Yeah,
but I can't remember myself. So
we definitely haven't been back since then.
Hellboy, the board game.
he is doing Hellboy the board game, which is interesting because I have Hellboy the board game, so I'll just be stealing any ideas I can from this. Because it seems like a plan. And once you see how he starts getting into some of the bits and pieces he's been working on, you'll understand why I'll be stealing this wholesale. He had thought originally about doing that sort of comic book shading like Mike Mignola does, before discarding that as madness and death. And having seen a few people on Tinterwebs doing comic book style.
Yeah, I've seen those too. They look amazing, but they take a lot of time.
Yeah, it's just not worth it. Have I pushed the link again? Oh, sorry. Oh.
That's a lot of minis for a board game, I must say.
That's... I think he backed all in on the Kickstarter like myself, which means he's got not just the board game, but also all of the 5 or 6 expansions that were planned at the time. So it's not... A lot of this isn't even out yet. And won't be for retail for the rest of the year because of COVID.
So spoilers.
Spoilers if you don't want to know what's coming. If you backed it, you've already seen what sort of giant creepy monsters there are. But yes, he's going for that sort of. It's not just it's Zenith and Drybrush to really force the.
It's a
contrast.
Gigantic mass of units, and I'd reckon he will go to some sort of batch painting job with all the similar looking models.
He is. He's also using airbrush for bits of it, but apart from that, I mean that picture there shows you frog monsters and Nazis. So it's both flavors of Hellboy because they have some of those. The plastic dummies are stuff he's dug out, I think, to add to stuff or just to play with, to practice the glazing, because he then goes on to explain how he's doing his glazes. Because it's not just I'm going to pick up a pot of GW glaze or whatever it happens to be. He's gone through about making up some of his own mediums. So these are test models for these to see which glaze works best, and there are some weird glazes in there that I haven't heard of before.
Yeah, but the results look quite promising.
Yeah,
the greens especially are very vibrant.
Oh, they're incredibly spectacular. As he says himself, some right, some wrong, but so far no mistakes. You can't make mistakes when you're doing tests.
Not really.
He has linked a couple of different YouTube channels who've talked about doing washes, but it's this next bit, if you just scroll down slightly, for the types of fluid and how he's mixed them. And some of these I've heard of, some of these I've used, other ones I've never gone near in my life. So, what's this? Fluid, possibilities, dishwash, rinse aid, glycerine. Yeah, okay, fair enough. That kind of all works. I'm at home to all of that. For glazes, to get consistent coverage, PVA or egg whites. Are you baking a fucking cake? Or are you painting miniature?
Well, it's viable, I guess.
It could be viable. I wouldn't now, considering how long I've got washes I made up about 2 years ago that are still sitting here because I'm slow. The last thing I want to do is use anything that's organic in this, because this would be creeping out down the street to fucking vote.
I thought just the same when you mentioned egg white. Oh, it needs to be used quite quickly.
Very, very quickly. But if you're mixing it up, if it works well and you're mixing it up to do a load of the stuff immediately, and you don't need to worry about keeping it. I like glazes that I can set in a bottle and then know exactly how I made them and can reproduce it. And if I need to come back, I have the measurements for that hard black and sepia tone in a little book, and I can go, I just need X number of drops of black calligraphy ink plus the mix, and I'm good to go. Having to try and get the yellow snotter out of an egg at some point to do it again, no, No, but anyway, I digress. So yeah, if people are interested in making their own washes or mediums or glazes, there's 4 possibilities, and he has been trying them out, as you'll see in the coming pictures when we start to hit the paint and stuff.
Especially, you shouldn't drink your painting water, but you definitely shouldn't drink egg white glaze.
No,
I think that could go south very fast.
I'm going to say, if people are after a red Irish ale, the McCracken's is really nice. Heaney's, not so much. It was okay, but I'm just going to say the McCracken's was it's gorgeous.
Is that a local beer, or is there any chance that I get it here too?
No, they're both Irish craft beers, but neither of them are local to me, so I don't know if you would get it. McCracken's from Armagh. A small batch. You might, if you're lucky. It's from Portadown. Anyway.
Well, I think I have to take a walk in the aisles of beer and licorice on my next grocery shopping tour.
That makes sense.
And here he has done frogs.
He has done frogs, the little frog spawn counters. And unlike me, who just sprayed them all grey and then zenith them white and went, that's good enough, and threw a green ink over it, which looked fine, by the way, from what I could be arsed doing. That was for a studio Let's Play.
For a counter.
Yeah, he's actually gone ahead and gone, you know what? It would be better if these frogs were all subtly different shades of green, which I have to applaud, because that is more hassle than I will ever do, especially for a counter.
It could also be said that he might be have a bit of a fetish for details. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, it clearly shows, because we get a nice shot of both bats and frogs in the bottom picture.
And these changes in green are so subtle. If I hadn't seen these pictures before, I think I wouldn't really notice. But knowing that there are subtle changes, I definitely can spot the darker ones. Especially in the middle, there's 2 and 3. This one is a very much lighter.
These are little COVID bat swarms.
Do they come with chopsticks?
No, I think you just have to grab them by the wings and gnaw. So after the counters, now he's got a bit of testing done. He's into his frogmen. And again, it's just another beautiful step-by-step. Here's how I get consistency and at the same time subtle variations in shade. So all 4 don't look the same.
If it weren't for the color, I wouldn't think these as frogmen, but some kind of bloated zombies. These again look more froggy.
Yeah. Well, a lot of them have got, warts, and as we learned from the League of Gentlemen, you may give a toad a wart, but a toad will not give you one.
And the final frog folk. With a big frog thingy with teeth and a snake for a tongue.
Which is, and this may surprise you, a giant frog monster.
You don't. I thought this would be the thing from the thing from the swamp.
There's a really nice fat picture there where you see the basing, where he's decided to paint, because all the tiles for Hellboy is what they're standing on there. That they're very purple green. They're very Mignola comic art, flat colors, and then very contrasting, shading, just harsh blacks. And he's went, you know what? For the smaller things, fuck it, they're just getting black. But the big guy gets his own hand-painted tile design to match the room he spawns into, which I just think is a wonderful touch.
Makes sense, yes.
Do it for the monster, do it for the boss, but not for the throwaway ones who are constantly being chucked around. So I'm fascinated to see where he goes from here. Well, we know where he's going from here. He's going to go on to the Nazi Rasputin set after this.
So he's saving Hellboy and the heroes for last.
Might be. We shall see.
Would be sensible, because if you start with these player minis, you're tempted to stop painting anything else because you have your shiny minis to play with.
That is true.
At least
I have two
in my
two
mind.
sets of them to paint at some point. because I looked at the resin ones and went, oh, the plastics are really nice. Imagine how much more detail there'd be on the resin ones. So I bought the resin ones as well. Went, oh, they are nice. Now I can do a really simple set just for gaming and then spend some time with the other set. Now, what I'll do is I'll spray them all and put it back in the box. But at least I'm consistent.
As is tradition in the house of water.
Yep.
Next up, we have something I first thought that was a project of Justin, but it's not. It's a different chainsaw.
It is from Skoda Marine, and this one is done and dusted.
And
it's
not printed.
Like, no, it's a foam chainsword he picked up at a car boot sale somewhere. How weird must it be to go to a car boot sale and find somebody selling foam latex cosplay chainswords?
Well, if he's selling the matching attire and maybe even some 40k stuff, not so much.
The chainsword of +1 bendiness. Anyway, so it arrived, as you can see, looking kind of like an Imperial chainsword. It's a bit rough and ready. It's a bit weird. It's a bit wee.
It's a bit wanky.
Wanky is the term to use. But he decided to, give it a new lease of life.
As you do.
Yeah. First thing is removing some things like, pardon me, the spikes on the Basque hilt, which were an unnecessary exuberance. So they all went away.
Yeah, and I like that he has used the fixing material for the cardboard as a detail on the sword itself. So he did not try to hide the fact that he did something to strengthen the whole thing, but to enlarge the detail amount.
Yeah. Greeblies is, I believe, the accepted phrase for sticking extra shit on to make it look like it's supposed to be there.
Greeblies, yeah, that's a term I've learned from Adam Savage Tested channel. Now we add greeblies and then simply dip your model in glue and throw it in.
Just roll in your bits box.
Yeah. And now we have a chaos war machine.
Correctamundo.
But if used well and reasonably, it looks like it works.
Yeah. Oh, it really does.
But I highly doubt that with all these really nice hardware he added, that would still count as a cosplay weapon.
I don't know,
Maybe the risk of injury is now a bit too high.
That's, they dress up like a heretic, they deserve what they get. Is that not how? No.
I would think
sure that's
so.
How it goes. Like dry brushing a brass to add interest and make it look like beaten up. Well, it may seem a bit gory to paint the teeth red, but I needed a colour where they would stand out from the body of the sword. That's interesting. I don't know if I would have went that way.
I think the yellow and black lining, which she seems to get back now, was a quite nice highlight as well.
Well, but because he's put it back down the flat spine, which is where you see it painted a lot of the time, because it's easier to paint it down the flat of the back of the chainsword. If he'd kept it running, he would have had to go around all the nuts and washers and screws, which would have been a pain in the backside, granted. But it would have been a starker contrast from the body to the teeth of the chainsword itself, at which point you wouldn't have to go red then. But it works.
So he has used two different tones of yellow to get there.
Was that fluoro yellow? Lemon yellow?
Yeah. Well, it looks nice.
Industrial hazard striping to let you know you need to be careful when wielding a chain sword around your head.
Don't hit your head with this side of the blade. Use the other one. That's more efficient.
Much safer. Much safer.
You only do it once. And we have a user for scale. Looks a bit small, if I'm honest.
Single-handed.
Well, as long as it's not a space marine wielding it.
assuming that foreign bonus Robert there is average human sized, that's not bad for a Imperial Guard chainsword. If he's the size of me, then yeah, that's a bit small. If he's like the size of Lloyd, if he's like a little hobbit thing, then that's huge.
Well, no, the opposite way around. If he was a small person, that would be a very small sword.
Oh yeah, you know, you're right. Well done.
Well,
anyway,
I did a thing.
All depends on what foreign Robert is. Did you know you had a twin brother wherever Skoda Marine is? Robert's probably going to call me a cunt. You should have a look at your... Is he allowed to say cunt in this sentence?
I have. Wanky. Yes.
Wanky. TM.
Next, trademark registered, copyrighted, and everything else.
Love you too, Robert.
So someday Robert has to come on this stream too, just for for the verbal abuse. That's an official invitation, Robert, if you're ever up to it.
Surely he gets enough verbal abuse just sitting there.
Oh, I wanted him to dish out.
Oh, you mean dish? Okay, yeah, right, Grant. Yeah, that makes sense too. Anywho, I'll let you pronounce this one since I did the last, or whatever.
Brinbinging.
Yeah, sure, why not?
Sounds a bit like a two-stroke engine that doesn't start. Brinbinging, brinbinging.
Well, minging generally means foul or disgusting. Like, did you see that doll he got off with last night? She was fucking minging. Which leads me to believe might be Irish or Scottish.
Well, I couldn't tell.
Or maybe he didn't realise that was a connotation. I knew somebody who called his character Banjaxed in World of Warcraft, who going, you know, that means something that's fucked, mate. He's going, oh, it's this thing used all the no, it means it's fucked. You know, the engine's Banjaxed, it's fucked, it's completely fucked.
I had a similar discussion with Lena the other day on the subject of gift.
Yes.
Because gift, as in present, means in German, gift is poison.
Oh, nice.
And Lena said, well, in some context, it also means marriage. So, gift has some darker meanings in other languages. One comes to think what meaning was first. The poison, the marriage, or the present?
Better column A, better column B. Hello, Doug.
Hello, Doug the Fuck, and everyone who has joined, which hasn't been greeted by me. I'm a poor host, excuse me, and I'm drinking alone. Ah, beat me. So, what have we here by Brinming?
So, Mr. Minging has been working on some Adeptus Titanicus.
My first intent was to say he's playing large-scale Battletech, but maybe it's just the terrain.
No, just the terrain currently, which is a mixture of begged, borrowed, built, and bought, I think. Yeah, we wanted a modular board that was a bit more real of a city than just Titanicus buildings. So,
which sounds reasonable.
Yeah, hooking away for some other bits and bobs.
Plus, even if you put these on display, you can change them up every other day, and it wouldn't be so boring to look at in the long run. Right?
No.
I don't know if you play on the 3x3 with Titanicus. Or a 4x4. 4x4.
I've no idea.
He's written in ideas to complete the 4x4 modular city, so it's 4x4.
Right. Because it's only whenever you embiggen that. Because I still think of the buildings as being like, you know, that big. And then you embiggen it and you go, oh, there's a miniature. So those tiles are actually probably more like 20 centimeters across or so.
Probably.
Yeah. Because that's going to be a 40mm base at least.
So
and there's a fair few of them.
A small force of strange-looking walkers.
Yep. Some dogs.
I always thought the... when GW announced the knights, I always thought they took it a bit too literally. to give them
No.
shield and spears.
Some of the old ones had 4 legs. They were like centaurs. with a robot torso on top as they ran around and lanced the shit out of things. I don't mind those Warhounds. They're better than the boxy ones they did in between, but I still prefer the very flowing design of the original Warhounds.
The ones that were made on 20mm scale from Armorcast.
Yes.
Those were lovely. I loved them.
They were stunning. It's funny you mention Armorcast. I think they show up later on in this. Anywho. Spoilers.
Every now and again I find myself looking back at the shop of Armorcast to see what is there and what's not there anymore.
I think the last time GW used an Armorcast Titan, it was one of the Eldar. I want to say it was called a Phoenix, but whatever the big Eldar Titan was, and they just used it to put the head on a base to make it look like something been destroyed. Well,
I loved the Orc vehicles they done.
Oh, the Gob Smasher and Brainburster and
just lovely.
Rumble Cruncher.
I dare to call them miniatures, but they were in the context of time when nobody did these. 3D printing was nothing more than a wet dream. Homecasting wasn't really viable. These things were quite something.
They were massive and they were gorgeous. They were just big chunky pieces of resin. I mean, you could kill somebody with them. By the way, if anybody's following along at home, he asks a question right at the end, which is, damn it, I need to work out how to make the pics smaller. If anybody knows how he can do that and fancies throwing it in a comment for him in that post, I'm sure he'd appreciate it. I would, but...
If he wants to do them in batches, he can use the free software XNView. That does it automatically. You can just select all the pictures, say what resolutions you want them to be, and hit enter, and then these will be in Smolensk. XNView. As
in, I've just folded space from X?
Yes, XNView. It's a open source software. Basically, it's a very old, it's a very long-running software. It's not very old because it's still maintained. And it's mainly for seeing what's in your directories as pictures. You can select a top directory and enable show all pictures that are under this directory, even in subdirectories, so you can find things very fast.
Well, that sounds far beyond my pay grade, but I'll point him in the direction of this, and he can work that one out for himself.
It isn't that hard. says me. Next up we have Reichsbusters.
Yeah, this is a short one. Because we've seen Niesel, he had done a standard trooper the last time, but had spent a lot of time on it. This time he's... I don't know if this is one of the heroes. She looks a bit Soviet.
A tiny bit.
So yeah, and again, it's a fairly nice detailed step-by-step guide with all the paints and all the detail that you require.
I think we are going back in time. Yes, we are.
We are. Well, but it's literally...
I just was wondering why are there now less paints on it? Yeah, this is... that's what the German looked like when we left him.
Yeah.
And all the colors listed here, so you can go at home and play one by one if you really want to put yourself through all that. I like the highlighting on the cloak on the back. It looks really natural. Not too much highlight and not too dark in the recesses.
And it has that Russian uniform tone to it as well. Not quite olive drab, but similar.
Good enough to give some cover in green environments. Or greenish.
I think generally they worked on the principle that if everybody's wearing a green uniform, eventually there'd be some Russian corpses that you could hide behind for cover. I think that's how Stalin was working that one, to be brutally honest. You don't need specific camouflage for every environment you're going to fight in. Just hide behind one of your dead comrades. And for the love of God, do not retreat. That commissar will shoot you.
So you're saying Imperial Army wasn't based on the British military, but the Russians?
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, based on the Russians. Very, very much so based on the Russians.
Well, next up is one of my favorites.
Is it? Is it a train called Alice?
Have you ever come across the... I think it was last year when they released it. WizKids done original Transformers paintable miniatures.
Paint yourself? Yes, I have seen them.
And for neither money nor love, I can find these locally. And these would be miniatures I would really go on a little bit and want to paint them, because that's basically my childhood, in a nutshell. Sunday morning, 11 o'clock, watching Fun Factory Transformers.
Would you have decided to go all Decepticon-y with them, though?
I would have gone all in. It's
just all of them.
It's similar to Star Wars for me.
Yeah.
It's Star Wars, yeah, please, all of it. And I don't think they did so many of them. I think 6 different models or something. At last I looked.
Honestly, can't remember. I have seen them since because they did the D&D paint yourself as they're pre-primed. I think they call them or something like that. Yeah,
pre-primed.
So I've seen them in the D&D, but I haven't really paid attention beyond that.
That's one of these things that ever pop up on the what's that website called again? IC2V.
Yes.
And these are things where I go, oh, I want this, and you see, okay, it's an American distributor distributing through American retail. The chances of getting these here are getting slimmer by the minute the more you read the article. Which is a shame. There are so many nice things they could bring here, and people would buy them, but, well,
no.
For whatever reasons, they don't.
It's always been a pain in the arse, I think. It's the phrase I'm going to use on that. It's like whenever you used to look and see what the French and German franchises were doing with Cthulhu, and then I had to look at Chaosium's 20-year out-of-print version that you had to spend, 250 quid on Fleabay to get a second-hand dog-eared copy of. Meanwhile, you're getting lovely new hardback books with all gorgeous interior artwork. Son of a bitch. Sorry.
Oh, I can take it. But don't mention the war.
Touch the nerve there.
Well, I like this picture here because it gives some sense of scale. Until now, I couldn't really figure out how big these were. But seeing this Primaris next to this biggie guy, I think these are quite a nice, decent size.
Yeah. See, must be the guts of 30 mil high. 30, so probably about 80 mil for that one.
Well, I just could counted checkers on this picture, I guess.
Yeah, you could. You might make it easy for yourself. Although God. I will, because I'm interested now. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11, not including the head. Probably 13, almost 13 centimeters.
That's a chunky boy.
Ooh. Actually, no, you probably knock a centimeter off because he's at an angle. So probably 12 centimeters. That's still respectable.
Yeah, but you can't put him on a blank base. There has to be some kind of foot-on house, rock, car, whatever.
Mound of dead babies?
Yeah.
I think we've still got...
crushed school bus, something like that.
Go and draw dead babies somewhere in the studio still. Yeah, sprinkling across tables.
That's where we left off. The funny thing about Transformers, as I have learned through The Toys That Made Us on Netflix, a great series if you never watched it, you should really take a look at them. Transformers basically was a bulk buy of toys, and then they made the cartoon. Because these changeable robots were a thing in Japan way before Transformers ever was a thing. So all these Transformers we got year after year were on the market in Japan for years under different various names. And then somebody in the US said, okay, we buy this bulk, we do the cartoon, and then we sell them.
So it's Transformers are to blame then? Because after that we hit quite a glut then of cartoons that had toys attached, or other toys that had cartoons attached.
Yeah, there are several coming to mind. Starcom, for example.
Oh, it wasn't alone. He-Man.
Yeah.
He-Man was essentially they came up with the toy line first and then just wrote the TV series afterwards.
On He-Man they have a complete episode as well, which is, again, very interesting to see. They had a He-Man, a Barbie, G.I. Joe, Transformers, Lego, if I recall correctly, and some other things. On Netflix, Toys Are Made Us. Great show. If you have time, nothing to do.
I've seen the first episode, because the first episode was about Kenner and Star Wars toys.
Was it? Oh,
yeah.
I thought that was the second one, where there's a one with Star Trek
Still?
toys.
Well, I've seen the Star Wars one and then never bothered watching any other ones because I only need to know about Star Wars.
The Star Trek one is especially interesting because they talk very much about the toys that were made for the original series, which was before Star Wars made merchandise a thing. So you've got things to buy where somebody slapped on the sticker Star Trek, which has nothing to do with Star Trek. The funniest thing was some kind of space helmet with a blue light on top of it.
Oh, it's like a flashing police siren. Yes. I've seen that. And there's like a picture of Spock photoshopped on there.
Yes, exactly. And that was a genuine Star Trek toy.
Amazing.
If I would have found that on some flea market, I wouldn't have believed that it was an official thing.
I would have liked to have seen Spock wear it in the series. Maybe in one of the reboots he will.
We will see. Probably, maybe, eventually. Next up, Collins does Afghanistan.
Dr. Fug seems to be having some sort of stroke, thinking that we've got wonderful Transformer movies out of it. Can you smell burning hair, Doug? Get up and walk around.
Can you smile, talk, put up both hands?
Fast, think fast.
So he did
Afghanistan, ultra modern.
I'm not too much into the actual historian side of tabletop gaming, but I think we had a discussion with Oreskany 2 years back in the forums of what is too close to the current timeline to be a game.
Yes.
And I think this really qualifies, in my book, as a bit too close home.
It's one of those things. People will have different tolerance levels. And then some people who'll be quite happy with this might balk at something where their own nationality was actually involved that was a little bit further back. You know,
maybe some Germans with some complexes because of their history.
Yeah, your mileage may vary. But that aside, Collins has went down the rabbit hole with White Dragon Miniatures, who've done some beautiful stuff. Now, we haven't looked at this, but I've looked at this because this came up as a golden button a while ago. I don't know if it was in the project system or if it had been grabbed out of the What Are You Painting Now thread, but he's got some really nice pictures of forces in action before he then goes on to the mind-meltingness of trying to do things like painting multicam, which is something I would never try to do. Then also, moderns don't really hold anything for me. So,
that's a lot of color for one tiny fighting man.
I suppose you can be thankful it's not digital camo. He's not trying to paint lots of little squares with right angles.
I wonder if you could use the dip method of painting like you used to paint Well, you know why you get all the colors floating on a liquid and they dip the miniature in.
Oh, hydro.
Yeah.
Hydro dip or whatever it's called. Yeah. There's no reason why you couldn't.
Well, I reckon that would be way faster than doing this way.
It would be interesting. I know some people have done some things like that. I see people talking in the chat about Brexit RPG Kickstarter. There are 2 shit President Trump card games on Kickstarter right now, this minute. There's like Trump Against the Presidents and I Hate Trump or something like that. You know, But I don't mind war games based on something factual like this. I might not play them myself. Personally, I think Black Powder ruined warfare, so I started to tune out. But things like that where they're just going, satire, politics, funny, and you're looking at it and you're going, is it though? Sometimes it's got a good game system behind it, but most times it's just balls. It's just somebody taking their nerd rage out on the rest of us because we have to sit and troll through their shit when we're looking at the game section in Kickstarter. I'm going, if this was WAG, I'd much rather you just took a toaster to the bath, mate, than put this on Kickstarter. You know, but say to me anyway.
But I now recognize the Taliban now. These were golden button winners close to a year ago, maybe around the heart. It's some time ago now.
But yeah,
November, half a year, close enough.
So it's nice to see that he's finally started to put it into a project and put a bit more around it than just having Taliban sort of
shiny pictures on the forum thread.
Yeah, because I never go into that. I went into it once about 4 years ago and then just went, you know what, this isn't for me, and walked away.
I pop in every now and then again, but it's hard to follow.
No, that's it. If you're not in it pretty much 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, you just lose everything. So yeah. I just stopped.
Especially you can't find anything again if you want to see again some things. If you didn't make a comment on it, it's nearly impossible to find that one picture you have seen.
Can you find things by commenting on them?
Well, you could look in your profile and see your own comments. I think you can. I won't look now because then everybody will see. I think.
Oh, don't worry. I'll look in a minute. Anyway, so this is obviously an Australian Humvee because it's upside down.
I thought it was a Macintosh Humvee because it looks like a cheese grater.
But that's definitely upside down, so it's Australian.
Well, maybe it's an Australian office from Macintosh. But nonetheless, we digress.
Do we though?
A bit.
He's taking a leaf out of Denizens' books with his lovely in-situ pictures. Because, I mean, that's just gorgeous.
He did nice.
Yeah.
I think he deserves a buttoning.
I think so. It would only be fair to. Because after all, he's gone to all the hassle of teaching people how to do this. So now people have to do that. Not me, but other people.
People who are into this kind of self-harm and masochistic behavior.
Painting multicam camo on 28mm, yeah.
Well, at least it's 28mm. Imagine he's doing that on 6mm. I doubt it would be even possible.
You do it like this. You paint them all wherever the base colour is green, and then you take a toothbrush, and then you just go like that. Flick. And flick all the white dots that you need, and then go, okay, what's the next colour? Black, you say, okay, give me the... And then flick all the black. You go, I've done my multicam on 6mm, thank you.
Or you take an airbrush, do a little dusting in the air, and flick the stick through them. See what sticks.
Something to look forward to.
Next on Jerrycam, how not to use your airbrush.
Told them, I'm not doing airbrush tutorials. I'm doing tutorials and other things, and if they want to find out how to use a tutorial for airbrushes, then come to the wrong fucking place.
I think John would be the perfect example.
Like, as I said before, those who can do, those who can't teach. Yeah.
Well, I'm through with my first. Here's to you.
Are you?
Yeah, I need another one.
Not you. I'm grabbing a Jameson's while I'm here.
God damn it. it. So, what do we have next? This Citadel 28mm foam building.
Oh,
That definitely looks like foam. By Piston Privateer.
it really is foam. A lot of foam. So yeah, he's decided it's going to be a little memorial for hobbyists, wargamers, friends lost during the COVID-19 pandemic, and he's based it on a classic design, which is the Citadel.
Which is in itself really iconic.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I don't think I have ever seen somebody do that.
No.
In a larger scale. Which somehow strikes me as being weird. Seeing how long they have got this.
Yeah, I mean, it's so iconic. Games Workshop didn't get rid of it when they bought the company. You know, that's how iconic the Citadel was. So,
yeah, yeah, it's a very nice, geary shot on
Good.
the logo.
and notice how he's put one to the left and one to the right, so your necks could stretch in equal.
And you may have heard the snapping of my back, which is totally normal. People give me the looks when I'm at the coffee machine at work and I do my stretches and I sound like a bag of loose bolts and nuts. Is that really healthy? I see, yes it is, and it feels good.
Feels amazing.
Or to quote Lloyd, amazeballs. Oh, speaking of Lloyd, please, Lloyd, no fashion, not anymore.
Don't get naked. Please don't get naked.
Oh God.
I was quite lucky because the minute he went, yeah boys, I grabbed it, I went, I know what's coming next. I closed my eyes. And then we were done filming, and I was like, okay, lads, I'm away, bye. And then I heard the clunk of him hanging up, so I opened my eyes, and I didn't see it.
So you didn't need to address your eyeballs with any form of chlorine?
No eye bleach required on that one.
I'm a loss for words on this one. I sat there, I saw the pain in Ben's eyes. It was a thing of beauty and terror at the same time. Cheers, Lloyd. That's why I pay my $3.97 a month.
You know what it is? The first time we get merch back in the shop, it will be Lloyd style fashion. A lot of midriff-less t-shirts. They've got a tail at the back, no sleeves, and just nipple to belly button is just free flowing.
Oh God, yeah.
So, you say that, Amanda, but you know, I don't know if you will be when. Bear in mind, you've been warned when you do reach that point. Anyway,
maybe that episode of the XLBS should have a not safe for work warning printed on top.
Oh, the plus side is much handier come the Christmas blooper show for Ryan now, because he can just put that out. Let's put that one out again. Saves him having to troll through everything looking for bloopers that have gone out.
That doesn't count as a blooper because it went live.
I think it should have.
Yeah.
Anywho.
Good. So we were digressing from this build of the Citadel with a hot wire cutter. And that's a model I've never seen, so I'm guessing it's either DIY or some weird China build.
Must be a China build. He picked it up 35 quid off Fleabay. And for a hot wire cutter of that size.
And I guess he's getting all these tools with it, so that must be some kind of China import. Yeah.
Worth it though if you're not planning on using it full scale all the time, or if it's your first one, you don't know whether or not you want to. Because I know hot wire desk cutters like that are relatively pricey.
Yeah, the Proxon I have is about, I think it was 80 euros, and another 20 for the foot switch, so you can turn it on and off
without having a releaser. Well, that's very good.
Yeah, basically it's just a switch with an extension cord to it, so it's more convenient as a convention cord with an additional switch. because it's just you turn on the table, and every time you need power on the cord, you just step on it, like on a sewing machine.
Yeah.
And you have two hands for guiding your materials, which is not bad.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I guess if he paid 35 quid for this, and he got these additional tools with it, these tools alone should be worth it. Because I sometimes...
I've just seen it in the doohickey there. The tool was an additional £15 purchase, so 50 quid for a wire cutter with tools. It's still close to half price, you know.
And if you're just doing these, not the hard foam, but these soft style foam, that's okay. You don't need as much heat on these, because they're more air than anything else.
But he's really getting in there with his sketching. I'm quite impressed by how he's worked out, because obviously there's not a huge amount of detail on that little citadel drawing.
No, and the other the previous renderings of these are even more like a silhouette, so you really have to guesstimate everything on it. And it comes along nicely. I reckon this thing will be quite tall.
Yeah, but also sectional, so he can play through it, which is a touch of genius, I feel.
Imagine playing Hero Quest in that.
Ooh.
Or Dungeon Bowl.
Even Hellboy.
Or if it will arrive sometime, what's it called again? Oh yeah, Wolfenstein.
Wolfenstein, yeah. Well, I don't have to wait for it to arrive. I've got their prototype resin copy and they're not fucking getting it back.
Jerry, I really have to say this to you, and I'm saying this with all my heart. Fuck you, you cunt. Courtesy of Robert. Yeah. Maybe some game shop here will start to import it. I have contacts to one or two who really are into Kickstarters, but I won't get my hopes up too high. Yeah. Especially if they have gotten a head warning from Bethesda not to try. Which is a shame. But
it is.
Yeah.
These things,
I blame my grandparents.
Yeah, it will go. It's a bit harsh, but you know. Even grandmother. Yeah, grandmother was the worst. Don't ask about grandmother.
Well, I could ask her.
She, no, I'm not going to do that. Anyway, the cliffs. Yeah, cliffs are looking nice. So there's a lot going on there. He's about, it looks like he's hit a good point, because if you think about the majority of it is just going to be towers, whereas the big square buildings cap off quite quickly. So, I mean, that the largest room there is probably close to being complete already. Just need the roof on it. The back right L-shaped one. And then he's just got to ramp it to the moon. And
I think at first I thought the material would somehow get in his way, because this light foam is very cripply, but for the rock formation, I think it adds.
Oh yeah,
it helps setting the structure.
Fractal nature means that you've almost got your rock done already. It's the same as when you're doing the Lloyd's foam terry thing. I've done a load of foam cliffs after following him, and I've just ripped it and went, that's good enough. Because when you rip it, you get really nice fractal patterns that looks like rock. Whereas when you pluck it, it's very noticeably plucked. And I know Lloyd loves pluck, 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 pluck. So everything looks like a Jamaican steel drum. Everything's got dents in it. It's lots and lots of little dents. Whereas if you just pull it once, you go, well, you're just seeing a sheer cliff with angles and gradient in it. And same here. It's good. I wonder if he's going to texture it when he's done. I imagine he probably will with something.
Taurus just mentioned this would be a good Bond villain lair. Yeah, I guess.
Oh, 7 TV, yeah.
True, I haven't thought of that.
7.
Oh, and he isn't. That's the end already.
That is the end.
Oh.
So We've not had an update this week, so his last update was the cliffings and the like last week, but definitely worth keeping an eye on. We may come back to him in a couple of weeks when he's had a chance to do a bit more. I will
definitely put this one on my watch list, and hopefully we will A, see more of it, and B, the list of names that goes on it won't be very much longer. There are too many already gone. Next up, we have Kerrigan Abyssal Dwarfs.
Aussie dwarfs, you say?
Maybe.
Don't mind if I do.
I don't know. Did I? Maybe.
I do.
Take a look at the bottle. Maybe. I have.
Yes.
So, little tiny fighting men.
Tiny, evil dwarves. And you know how you know they're evil?
Because they have skulls.
Oh, no, worse than that. If you go down to the next picture, you'll see how evil they are. Where are you at? Have you skipped a picture of you? There we go. Oh, no, you've skipped a picture.
I've skipped a picture. Go back up again, you say?
Yeah. The very first one in that row before you went straight to the big one. But if you look at the one to its left, before they had skulls on them, every man jack of them had a rune from Lena's puzzle. That's how evil they were. And then they've had to cover it up with skulls. They were, what's less evil than a rune from Lena's puzzle? A skull. A skull is less evil.
That's some kind of trauma you have with this riddle.
No. I don't even know why you mention it.
You're not waking up in the middle of the night screaming, no!
Every time I get a newspaper, the first thing I do is turn it upside down and try and rub out half the letters.
Try to hold it in front of a mirror and look if that helps.
Anyway.
But he has done some impressive miniatures.
He's comboing this. This is a mixture of a Abyssal Dwarf army for Kings of War plus an Abyssal Dwarf skirmish warband for Vanguard. So he's jumping about with both. But it means he can go from doing massive models like these at the top, like the Abyssal Winged Half-Breed with possibly a Runecaster on it, down to very, very small. I do like the Lava Golem.
The artillery looks nice.
Oh, the
cute.
heavy mortars, rock heavy mortars. He's also gone for full model count, which is just great to see because a lot of people get away with not doing full model count because you can do scenic bases, whereas he's chosen the fuck it, if it says 20, I'm putting 20 on path.
So he's doing it's what it says on the tin on the base.
Yeah. That big lava golem isn't actually from. It's one of the few that isn't Mantic in this. I can't remember where it comes from.
Didn't he say?
Which is a shame. He probably does. James Wapple painted. It's where I discovered how to paint lava was through James.
Obsidian Golems, bodies from Roadhunt Studios.
There we go.
The heads from Mantic.
And the head is off the Great Obsidian Golem because you get a pair and you can swap them. Yeah, that is a stunning model, and I've been waiting to get my hands on that for some time because it's just so awesome. And if you're ever looking to paint lava, if you do a search for James Wapple, in fact, I'll just link it in here because his blog spot is called something insane like Wapelius, and you're never finding that fucking thing, are you? I want to go there. Are you going to take me to his blog? Oh, see, Pinterest. Pinterest can fuck right off.
Pinterest is the worst.
Every time I do a search for something, what I get is 15 Pinterest links first. And then, if you're lucky, you find where they've stolen it from, the shitbags.
That's why I don't use Pinterest. Google anymore.
Because it's Google own it, do they?
Yeah, they somehow prefer Pinterest.
Bing is the way to go, just going to say. I'm all on board with Ping as a search engine now. Because it's having to go through these tubes to find that annoys me. Anyway, that is the best lava tutorial I have come across in my life. he paints up that model that we're looking at now. So if you've ever wanted to paint up lava, that is the way to go. It's just stunning.
That's
it isn't simple parts, but go nuts, kids.
Jeebus, that's an orange.
Oh, isn't it though? Oh my god, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, and you're looking at it, you're just going, oh, well, you've just gone mental, James. And then he just works all the way back, and by the end he's putting graphite powder on it, and you're going, you are a fucking god. Anyway.
And he's not even using an airbrush. I would have thought with that kind of size model you would use an airbrush for that effect.
Oh, just you know, you find yourself a flat brush about that size, and you just go, this is the size brush I should be using.
And you keep it in the hand exactly in that way, and you just stab the paint on it.
That until it's painted. Anyway.
Maybe don't move the brush, but move the model. Reverse engineering.
Put a bit polished brush between your legs and then just rub it back and forth. Anyway.
Next up. Rangers of Shadow Deep with no picture for the project. Shame on you, Harry Brains.
He did that deliberately. He tried to dissuade people from clicking on his link.
But we clicked.
Anywho.
Well, that's a...
Isn't James an artist by trade? I don't know if James is an artist by trade, but I know he is a model painter by trade. Or if not trade, you know, he's a professional painter, so whether it's his full-time only job or whether he does it supplemental, I don't know. But he's good. Anyway, this is a relatively brief one, but he's decided to start painting his...
We have spiders.
It's a mixture of Dungeon Saga and other stuff for Rangers of Shadow Deep to give him all the bits and bobs he needs for some of the encounters. And I think there's going to be a lot of contrast going on in this one. Looking
at these spiders and having drunken maybe a bit too much beer, it gives me an idea. I may send a care package to OTT designated Justin.
For the spiders?
With Haribo gummy bear spiders.
It's less funny than sending a care package full of actual spiders, but yeah.
Yeah, but those tend to run away. and if there's one thing I won't do, it's anything that's an activity that demands more work than it's worth.
That's a fair point. You need fat, lazy spiders, that's what you're saying.
Yeah, maybe some tarantulas, they do winter sleep, as I recall. So if I cool them down, they stop moving. And when they arrive in the studio, and the studio's warm, they start moving again.
Speed up again. Oh, that's very clever, Mr. Bond. Very clever. Once again, his fun dead, breaking out the contrast.
These look really nice. And especially the background, I love. Can we have more for the background, please?
The tauntauns.
and the airspeeder.
I have a very, very sneaking suspicion that I think the yellow thing in the background behind the airspeeder might be an orc dreadnoughty bit, or the Gorkanal head, because I think we looked at the orc project by him, and again the tauntauns and airspeeder were in the background. Yeah. I swear Star Wars stuff is just in the background to attract us. But I'm positive we weren't looking at fantasy the last time those tauntauns were riding by.
I think
it's
you're
single
right.
file to fill the fucking enemy.
I think you're right. That's a cunning plan.
Oh, it's very good. It's more cunning than a fox that graduated Tufts University.
And it worked, obviously.
Oh yeah, well, very much so.
We have a spider in very large pictures.
He has painted,
and they are disgustingly in focus.
Oh yeah, that's probably an accident. Wouldn't worry about that. It's the fact you went, oh yeah, I'm just going to go two color contrast, orange and black, boom, done. And then to set it off, I'm going to paint all the eyes.
Well,
really? Are you? Because I wouldn't have.
I
wouldn't have painted the bumps on their bum either, but I definitely wouldn't have painted the eyes.
Well, I think he did a stunning job on these. Especially if you think these are very quick and dirty methods.
I literally think the only thing that took time was putting dots on the eyes, because the rest looks like it's just those two Griffhound Orange and Contrast Templar.
Even that, I would wager that the drying time was even more than.
Oh yeah, well, yeah. that is. It's a very valid point. Did that, then went off for smoke.
Yeah, you're getting a buttoning.
I'll be keeping an eye on that, because I have Dungeon Saga, and at the moment I'm in two minds as to whether to paint the Dungeon Saga for Dungeon Saga and keep them on their bases, or start cutting them off their bases and rebasing them for Kings of War.
Well, couldn't you use them with the Kings of War bases in Dungeon Saga anyhow?
I could. Then that would mean not having multi-bases in Kings of War, and that would confuse me. I get easily confused.
Nobody wants it confused, Jerry.
I just bounce in the walls and stuff. It's terrible.
Next up, a new traveler in Anyaral?
Yeah.
New Bolter, though, finally a name I can pronounce. So he's doing something the world of Twilight. Never heard of that.
I have
literally never heard of that.
I've heard of it only because they do very Jim Henson-y kind of things. I've seen like a traveling salesman who's towing a bipedal I know one of these dinosaurs is the same as the other one, and one got scrubbed from the history books. Like Diplodocus and Bronchia fucking Saurus, and they're both the same base but with different heads, with their heads on backwards. Anyway, long-necked, fat dinosaur. Now imagine a two-legged Henson version of one of those with tons of packs and stuff being towed along by like a Fraggle. It's that sort of weird world. It's very cute, very super fantasy.
So a bit like the long necks from the Dark Crystal with the six arms.
Yes, that is exactly like it. And because there's a few of these games out these days, I keep mixing them up a fair bit between the World of Twilight and other things, because there's Twisted and Warp Lock, and yeah, there's 2 or 3 companies doing very nice fantasy, but this one is properly weirdly Henson. I mean, it's so strikingly different from anything else I've seen. It's one that I keep going, I should go back to it at some point. However,
you have seen the Kickstarter for the Dark Crystal miniatures?
No, I haven't, and you can't make me look.
I can't?
No. But you clearly can. I'll be typing that in a minute.
I don't think if it's running anymore, but I could be there.
Oh, then fine.
It's still on.
My work here is done.
But it was especially not miniatures for a game, but bigger size miniatures for display, and I think even busts.
Ah.
But
okay.
They seem to have the official license.
I did see that, actually, and I looked at it and I went, oh, that'd be nice. And then I looked at the price and went, oh, no.
Exactly.
Sweet Zombie G's, the big Striders with the 2 Elflins or whatever the fuck they were called on it. Kelpies, something, who knows. Anyway, yeah, they were lovely, they were huge. And I just went, you know what, I'm going to walk away now.
Slowly.
I'd really like that miniature, but unfortunately it's not a miniature, it's just a bust. So, shame.
Yeah, but coming back to this project, even though it's short, I really like what he's done with some very simple materials.
It's a touch of genius. Yeah.
Looking at the project picture, I wouldn't have guessed that this is simply a block of XPS foam with some PVA and tissue paper over it.
And that is why I grabbed this one. I'm hoping that we're going to get more of this, because if you go to the Yariel World of Twilight website, they've got gorgeous artwork, and they go from things like these little animal skin bog huts to massive, almost like Minas Tirith, where it's a building that's a ring with a ring with a ring, huge sweeping vistas and massive buildings. And if he's going to go and start doing bits and bobs for this, I'm hoping to see quite a variety of buildings and stuff for his table. But the work he's put in there on 2 very simple huts has been superb. And if you've not done that sort of thing before, that is an incredibly simple thing to do with a very good tutorial behind it. So yeah,
and the result is really astonishing. If you come to think of it, you just have to change the shape of the foam core that's in there to have different sides of huts.
Yeah, I mean, you could easily get away with this for the likes of Dark Age huts or even Native American yurts and teepees and that sort of thing, depending on neck of the woods.
Red people, maybe even some other beast men creature tribes.
Yeah, if you want to stick with fantasy.
Or if you go ahead and maybe add some patches on it, it could also be post-apocalyptic.
Yeah. Oh, that's, if you've a mixture of animal skins and animal hides, and then every now and again you've got some sort of massive BP tarp just in the middle of it in a very striking green with the old, like Texaco logo or whatever happens to be in between, that'd be properly post-apocalyptic and would look fantastic. But it's just a very simple, easy thing to do, and setting it up so he's not come out just using a little jig that he made out of cardboard is genius. I love it.
Plus, with all the PVA, they should be rather sturdy and won't take too much damage when handled easily.
I do banners out of PVA and paper, and by the time you're finished, you can literally flick them, and it's like flicking a card. You won't damage it or rip it at all. You could bounce bricks off it. He's planning on using this board for Burrows and Badgers, Star Wars, and Warcry, as well as World of Twilight. So I imagine there'll be quite a lot of lower tech stuff, but I can see Tusken Raiders coming out of that, giving it the old.
Or a lot of dead women and children around it.
Not just the men, but the women and children too. It explains why they shit themselves when Obi-Wan came over that hill screaming at them.
Probably.
Stuff like that stays in the genetic memory.
That's one of the mad guys with the glowy stick. Run.
Run away.
Next up, Wild West Exodus. Well, that's a name I've heard.
It is.
It really looks interesting to me every time I look at it, but then again, I can't be asked to buy yet another game by a Hazy Boy 75.
It is like a budget Jurassic Park, that is true. And it's interesting because I dare say Hazy Boy knows that I don't know if it's a companion system or an expansion that they're planning on doing, but you've got Wild West Exodus and there's going to be Lost World Exodus, of which we've seen 2 miniatures. One is a Polish winged hussar captain on a steampunk motorbike, looking like a Dread Lawmaster, which looks amazing, which I sent John home with one of those today to do a painting tutorial on it in the not too distant. And the other one was Teddy Roosevelt on a Raptor. So,
I think I saw that one.
That's the sort of world we're dealing with here. So we looked at this a few weeks ago, which means he's probably had time to paint 50 or 60 more models since then.
At least this snake boss is a really scary dude. That thing really... That strikes me as something newish, I would say, because you've seen snake monsters, you've seen mechanical monsters, but I really would go out on a limb and say I have never seen a snake monster with bionic arms.
Yeah, Wild West Exodus is an unusual one. I suppose it counts technically as steampunk, but rather in the classical Victoriana British steampunk sense. 1850-ish, they come across a new type of energy, and therefore all shit kicks off there. But it's very Wild West focused. So you have your Native Americans, your Aztecs, your Union Confederacy outlaws, all that sort of thing, and then this madness tacked onto it.
No, I remember the project where we looked at them. These were these nice ladies with the very bright clothes and the Mad Maxian style Dr. Dr. Snuggles, Jekyll and Hyde. Why was I thinking of Dr. Snuggles?
I have no idea.
God.
Was it because you're planning on visiting the witch on Vinegar Mountain?
God, I sometimes I scare myself.
I'd be scared if I remembered Dr. Snuggles. I, for one, don't even know what you're talking about, and that creepy fucking duck-headed umbrella of his can fuck right off.
Well, he wasn't that bad.
Yeah, you said that. Pretty sure he was.
Maybe I'm suppressing some memories.
I imagine you are. I would if I could, about Dr. Snuggles. Anyway, once again, from Hazy Boy, we have another extremely detailed...
Given the amount of colors and detail work he has done, the effort in doing more tutorial than tutorial is simply baffling.
Madness.
And I know I have no say in this, but if Ben should be listening, or you may talk to Ben with another sticky note, I think, let alone for his work he does on this tutorial, he has earned the right of a gold button.
Gold button, sticky note. I'll pass it on. Sometimes he listens to me.
When you showed that sticky note the last XLBS, I nearly shat myself laughing. But then again, if you
with his OSL,
well, probably between the hangout and the recording, there was how much time passed? 24 hours.
2 days, 2.5 days. We generally do them on a Thursday, so.
Well, that's not that much of a time.
No, it's fine.
Usually my sticky notes drop to the floor much earlier.
So here apparently some...
And he's using the pin roll I've got myself. I knew I have seen that, what do you call that design before?
Yes.
Oh,
good.
Why is he jumping back on again?
You haven't hit the point where you're just getting a pasta maker like Colin suggested then, Hazy Boy? Because, I get blamed for forcing people to go and buy stuff and do things because I do something or other. And then people show up our weekends and they come along with some sort of mad idea. And I end up going, no, sure. I'll get a pasta maker for making bases. So, I'm not alone. This is Colin's fault. But apparently if you want to make repetitive large bases or a large amount of bases, this is the way to do it. You start off by making a sheet, and then you can do your roller, and then you can mop up your bits.
The difference being is if you show people stuff to buy, it usually goes into the 3 figures or even more. That pasta maker couldn't have been more than £20.
I resemble that remark. Oh, I found some Persians. I didn't know I dropped them. Okay. I'm glad I picked that pasta maker up now.
Now you can make pasta. If everything else fails.
I can't make pasta. Whether I've got a machine or not, I can't make pasta. I can make a mess.
Well, that counts as something. So he has done a 3D printed Caribbean church.
Mm.
At first I was $13 for a church, and then I saw the logo of terrain. What is it? Printable scenery.
Printable scenery.
So he's one of these young ones adapting new technology faster than anything.
Oh yeah, it's best just ignore it. It'll go away eventually.
Just keep telling. I want to believe.
It's like cellular phones and color television. They'll all go eventually.
Yeah, no cars won't make it way to anything. Everybody will stay with horse and carriage.
Stay with the horse. You're safer that way.
And I think
they've seen her before, although
either my
I'm guessing that's the original
project didn't load, or he did another.
No, that looks like the original metal version, and then the one beside it must be the new one since War Cradle took over.
It's a bit smaller, is it?
Oh, it's much bigger. No, the one on the left, I think, is the new one. Yeah. Blah, 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 blah. New sculpt is much bigger and more dynamic. Okay, fair enough. Well, we can live with that.
As long as we get another tutorial, that's fine.
Maybe she's not Maria. She could be Mary F. Or Mary G.
Or Mary Senior.
Good old poggers. Yeah, another stunning couple of entries in the ongoing "Your life is terrible, McCabe. Why can you not keep up with him?"
Because you're sitting here with me and I'm forcing you to drink alcohol and do shitty comments about other people's works.
To be fair, I'd be doing that anyway. I just wouldn't be on camera.
Shh, you don't tell these people.
I still wouldn't be. You know.
I was just giving you an alibi.
Oh, sorry. Should have thought about that. Just visiting your it's like visiting Panzerkaput and Hazy Boy. It's like a form of self-harm. I don't cut myself anymore. I just go and visit your project logs and just stare dolefully at them until I get upset.
It's much cleaner. You don't need to disinfect any wounds. You just have to tend to your scars on the inside, and that you can do by pouring alcohol on them.
Pouring alcohol on them, yeah, that is the way to do it.
That's a tried and tested method of disinfecting, so it can't be wrong.
You are incredibly correct.
Sometimes I have my wise moments.
Yeah.
But then again, I regret them the next morning.
Very much so.
Hero Quest Lockdown by Greystoke. What's in the box? Well, we have to ask John, I guess, but he's not here.
Is it Hero Quest?
He says on the tin.
I think it is.
It looks like Hero Quest. Smells like Hero Quest. I don't know what it is
about this particular, post-apocalyptic lockdown that we're all stuck in. This Kafkaesque future that everybody has decided that now is the time to paint Hero Quest. It just seems weird because he's not alone. This is, I think, the third Hero Quest project I've seen on the go, and I'm not including somebody who's painting up the Lichmire Dungeon Hero Quest set that I seen last night. So technically there's 4 fucking Hero Quest things ongoing. It's just weird.
It's not just that they paint them. Some of them do very awesome terrain work with it. And here I am, still working my normal days of... not going on that again. So we have the original dice, some board plans, and the minis.
You'll be pleased to hear that he actually managed to buy this on Fleabay, pretty much pristine and intact, bar a few figures, for less than his maximum bid price that he'd stuck on it. Well, I have to go out and live and say, you jammy bastard.
Yeah, but some people have more luck than anything else.
But he got it to try out with his kids, who are both below the 9-year-old age limit that Hero Quest starts with, I think he said. His kids are 6 and 8, I believe, and it says 9 and up. But he thought, okay, we'll give it a go. And not only have they embraced it and ran with it, but they've played through the entire game book twice. That's how much they're enjoying Hero Quest. Let's do it again.
Yeah,
this time.
I think the age recommendation back in the day were more like, while we eyeball it around, and we are saying 9-year-old because they are old enough to maybe have saved enough pocket money to buy them for themselves.
I'm being more cynical than you. I think 9 was just... the way GW stuff is now aimed at 14 and up. That's not because they think you need to be 14 to play. That's because if they classify it as any lower than that,
it's a toy.
They have to get extra tests done because it classes as a toy and it costs them more. So it's just simply a cost thing.
Now it's a hobby product.
And therefore they don't have to go through as many strenuous tests to make sure it's not poisonous.
I think they if they go for a lower setting and they need to attest for toy, at least after German rights, maybe even UE rights, they have to make some fire tests if that stuff gets hazardous when it burns.
See if it burns badly. Yeah, oh yeah, that would be bad.
I think with plastic that would go south.
So for those following along at home, he was missing a few pieces, which he managed to find on
some dark sites on the internet.
I thought it says print bread. Is it supposed to say print bread?
Yeah.
Is that like a thing?
I think
like
he
total onion or something.
I think he has a autocorrect thing there.
Oh,
print bed.
Auto cucumber done fucked up.
Yeah.
Anyway, he managed to find somebody has 3D scanned. It looks like the original, because if they've 3D modeled those, that's fucking insane. But the fact that if you look at the blue 3D print there, so if
I reckon those are scans. You can clearly see the
you can see points. The sprue mark where they've been clipped off. Yeah, so.
And 3D,
can't get closer than that.
3D scanning isn't that a recent technology. Since the Xbox 360 came out with this obviously weird Connect sensor, people have been plugging that into their PC and using that as a 3D scanner, which works rather well. I've
seen somebody doing that.
Yeah, exactly.
Bob Hanks.
Genau. Yeah.
Days of Future Past, whatever it was called.
Okay, we have reached the point where I start to fall back into German language. This is...
That's fine. Speaking German, I'll very occasionally chuck in something in very bad Swedish and we'll see where we get from there.
No, but it's exactly that what you mentioned. So the weird gesture. Because Microsoft actually did a decent job of the technical details in that machine for small scale scanning.
That's clever.
And they were just a bit hacked. Maybe I think we have a common friend who has some insight in technical details who may or may not allude on that further.
Oh, that sounds intriguing. I'll have to find out who that is and do stuff. But in the meantime,
he's painting them.
7 days to paint a horde. 35 miniatures. It's only 5 a day then. If he's doing over 7 days, that's manageable. There's a target you could set yourself and hit. Not me, you.
And to be honest, if I'm looking at this painted section of these gobbles and weird whatever green creatures that is, I'm hard pressed to see which one is the 3D printed.
Yeah.
If it's even on the picture. For all I know, that could be still not on the picture.
Yeah, that's true. They could all be originals. But once again, contrast showing it's worth its money for board game speed. Just getting them out there. Told him repeatedly 35 is not a horde. Yeah, you're right. 35 is a unit, and that's not even a full model count.
We're not getting into the territory where we are counting numbers.
I do like the technical paint or crackle medium or whatever has been used for the earth effect on the base.
Yeah.
Because it's just enough when combined with the contrast and bits of detail and dry brush to set them off.
And it's not so badly cracked that it looks like it will be falling off the base, but it's just like some worn, stamped grounds in the dungeon.
Yeah. I was talking about this with somebody yesterday. I don't know why. Oh, I do know why. It was Quaid, who's in the chat again, asking about doing snow bases. And I'm saying, I'm a fan of the old black rim on the base. It's a classic look. And you can see it on the zombie or the mummies there at the back. It just looks nice.
Goblin green is the classic way to go, I tell you.
But only if you could still get your hands on a coat d'arms Goblin green, because the new Goblin green is not the same colour. Mine are next door, so there's no point in me looking. See, one of those is classic.
Original Citadel Goblin Green.
Don't buy Army Painter Goblin Green, kids. It's a different colour. It's closer to GW's old Scorpion Green. Which is better, but worse but better.
So
that's what it is. It's Greystoke. I haven't even realised, Easy Boy, that's who'd done this. I should pay more attention to who I'm picking.
So we have another one from the dreaded 3D printed faction, which really astounded me that you pulled this on. Wasn't this the giveaway?
I've no idea. Who knows? I certainly don't. I pay no attention to 3D printing, but there was no way I was not pulling that out because it's very Firefly looking.
I thought this was some kind of OTT giveaway.
Yeah, sure, why not? No, hang on, I know what it is. This was free from Dragon's Crest, but at the same time they also did something specifically for us. So that week there were like 2.
Yeah, that's
just add insult to injury. Just going, 2 3D things. Anyway, for those who like 3D printing and that sort of stuff, I thought I'd include this because I'm beneficent.
I really would like to get my hand on some of these models, not the STL files, but the printed versions, and try making molds for casting out of them. Because if you're not lucky enough, like some business owner we all know, to have a Justin working 24/7 on some resin printers, these prints take some time. So if most of these dungeon modular thingies, if you just print one piece and then do a silicone mold or 2, I reckon you would be much faster than printing them in a high quality.
Making such a mess on my floor because I'm just lifting stuff and dumping it on the ground. However, we have actually been talking about doing that. For people who are playing at home, you may remember we had a boot camp for Flames of War where Warren, because he wanted to be historically accurate, had a castle printed for reasons. So there was a little 15mm castle, came in sections. He's currently using for his Crusaders. That was a printable scenery thing. And we've been talking about doing a Conquest boot camp. So Conquest is in a scale that makes Sigmarines look like a small 25mm figure. So we started printing out that castle, that 15mm castle again, at Conquest scale, which is, I think, like 104mm or something. It's fucking huge. It is massive. And after printing a couple of these towers, so they have printed ones. This one failed, so this is why it's at home with me. You print them out, and then Warren's going, it takes like days to print a level. It will take us months to print. All of this was before Corona kicked in, and we didn't realise we were going to think about doing it at the start of May. But I brought this home to try and cast it. Now, this should be castable. It's
quite simple.
It's fairly simple. There are some undercuts, but I'll be casting this in what's the meltable one I use? Because it won't be silicon, because silicon would be too expensive. I'm not wasting it. I have Venomold, which can be melted down. You melt down, cast, and then when you're finished, you can cut the mold up and melt it down and reuse it. So it's reusable. It catches a lot of detail, not as fine as silicon, but a lot of detail. But if you mess up, it doesn't matter. You've wasted nothing. This is just a block. So even though it has undercuts, it should be doable. Those 3D prints, you would need to get somebody to actually prepare and cut them for casting, because some of these would not come out of a mold.
Yeah,
simply because they're printed.
I wasn't especially speaking about these ones.
No, not these ones. Yeah, but it's definitely a viable option. I think I'll let you know once I've poured something hot on this and see whether or not it still keeps its shape or whether it deforms massively. But yeah, it's hit that point where the STL files and 3D printers are becoming more prevalent. That if you don't have one, you are just sitting there now watching things go by, going, well...
To be honest, within Legion, that has been happening since day one.
Yeah.
For some reason, there's a very huge overlap in the community of 3D printers and Legion players. So I'm guesstimating, every 2 in 3 Legion players has a 3D printer at home. Which is insane when you come to think of it, that Legion is a game that doesn't require that much terrain and units. Yeah. So maybe it's just because Star Wars is expensive and people who buy expensive toys buy expensive toys.
Yeah. That's definitely doable. But it's interesting looking at this project and seeing him going through all the figgery, widgery, pookery and badgery gub-gub to make things like even just like a simple interior panel with a chest of drawers in it where he can put his
and I'm really
toiletries and stuff.
Excited to see the final result, to see how the print lines will act up, because in the large picture, right at the beginning, the project picture, you can see that he has done some filling, I reckon, some filing maybe, and how prevalent these print lines will be once it's primed and painted.
Ooh, I wonder. I mean, if you look at the first big blue picture in the actual thing of the new interior panel, you can super zoom in on that.
Yeah, you can see these different, and that's why I'm wondering.
And again, whoa, look at that.
How they will stand out once they're primed. Maybe some filler primer from the car workshop would work wonders, but then again, you may lose some details.
I know Warren in the past has hit things with a heat gun, because just the heat from a heat gun going over it is enough to, it won't completely melt, but it certainly burnishes out some of the striations. Or with and then with a filler primer after that, maybe it might do the job. But I'm just curious because it looks like Serenity.
A bit.
That's
But
I'm easily pleased. What can I say?
But you take inspiration where you find it, and I think this modular design looks, design-wise, really nice. I could see this neck portion go a lot longer to make some bigger.
Maybe up a bit.
Maybe do a little bend. Well, we have one more for this evening.
One more. It's a short one. Don't worry, we'll be finished in time.
And I see
it's half an hour, isn't it?
Maybe something about that. I just have a look at my bottle. Bottle says it's a half hour.
Nice.
So Paint2Fix 86. Well, that's a name. Has gone in and done Burrows and Badgers.
Yeah, we looked at something he'd done last week, which was appallingly good. So it was nice to see this being very short and still appallingly good. But he's been sucked in by Ben. Ben's, sucked him in. It happens to so many people. Fresh, impressionable young children, generally off the train from Glasgow to London for the first time, and there's Ben waiting with a handful of stouts. And all of a sudden, they're his.
In the rule book in one hand, do you have a time to speak with our Lord and Saviour? What is your opinion on Burrows and Badgers? Well, he hasn't painted much, but what he's painted is incredibly nicely done.
It is just the beginning. He's got a little Burrows and Badgers warband of whatever they are, the Border Terriers. So somebody from the Carlisle direction, but again,
mixed arms.
fucking nice. Just a nice little paint job on that.
I love the snake with the magic stuff.
Hey, you're not fit for fighting if you're a snake. You better learn yourself some castery magic.
Yeah.
Somebody come along and just beat you down with a stick otherwise.
Imagine that not being a magic wand or stick, but a mace, and the snake literally hits you on the head with it. People.
I like Amanda's idea better. It's a pogo snake. It just spends its time pogoing around. Well, it's a scout. What your snake is, scouting.
If this was a Blood Bowl game, I would say pogo stick is totally viable. Yeah.
Only up until the point that somebody gets their hand on a chainsword.
This is nicely done. I love the little introduction with the rulebook, a few dice, and the miniatures. This looks so innocent. You don't need much. You have a few miniatures, you have your dice, you have your rulebook. Yeah. What he's not showing is the rabbit hole that is terrain building and all the other things, and the disciples of Ben clinging to him. Do more, do more.
Based on his last one, which was it was the Star Wars Legion project that just went on forever. Do you remember that one?
Yeah.
So that was his last project. I imagine we're going to get something similar with Burrows and Badgers here. I would be very disappointed.
Well,
in fact, it would be a pain to fix that if he didn't do it.
How? What?
What? Nothing.
Bonus Bennis Fagan? What?
Who? What?
We have a comment that has been blocked by Automod. Taurus said something not nice.
Did he?
Are you saying Ben is Fagan?
Fagin.
Whatever.
Weirdly, I was going to say that. Fagin led the gang of thieves and pickpockets in Oliver Twist. You've got to pick a pocket up too.
That's not my alley.
You win then if you don't get to see that. But yeah, so that's kind of where we're leaving you this week, kids. Yeah. Just a little amuse-bouche to cleanse the palate and let you think, oh, Bears and Badgers, I should probably order some of those.
Some booze-induced banter and happy thoughts. Yeah, I really like these. And again, Robert, if you want to join us at any time, feel free. I even would so far and just host the channel while you and Jerry
call each other cunts all night
for 24 hours.
It's 2 hours of name calling with one project looked at.
And I'm making a project sometimes and noting all the different English and Irish swear words I can make out. And listing those I can't make sense of.
Banjaxed. Shift.
That's the real problem when talking a foreign language. You don't get all the details in the colourful language that is.
Colourful language is key, I feel, in many respects.
Yeah. But it helps very much that at least as I have come to know most English and Irish people have a good sense of humor and not too easily offended by foreigners.
Most of us do.
Slaughtering their language.
Robert doesn't, but he's a terrible bastard, so and I can't.
Yeah, but then again, every rule has his exception, and seeing how focused on male genitalia he is currently.
That is true. Glopping, Pete. I don't know what glopping is, but I will say definitely don't check out. I won't say it's blumping.
Now you're just making stuff up. Oh, we haven't seen John in a while. I would say hello, John, but he won't listen.
Right. Shouldn't you kids be in bed? It's a school night. Away with you.
Well, not here. School isn't on until next week. But I have to go to work tomorrow, which will be
so do I,
enough.
But to be fair, my work is this chair.
Yeah, I have to go to Brem.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, but on the plus side, I will be alone in an office and have all the internet for myself. So it won't be that bad.
So way to do it.
With that, I will leave you. Thank you again, Jerry, for being here and honoring us with your vast knowledge of all things Tiny Fighting Men. I think we will call it a day, and next week will be episode 10. And that means it will be 2 months. And how did I get here?
And you may ask yourself.
I was waking in the night screaming. Okay, before this goes on any longer, I will roll the end credits. I see you again next week, and I read you tomorrow in the Discord, people. Have a good one.